Hello and welcome to another edition of Star Trek Discovery Commentary, Season 1, Episode 12, Vaulting Ambition. And this is the true introduction to Mira Giorgio, and she really likes Kelpian. Today, I'm not joined by Starfleet Boy, but instead Trek on the Tube. I'm really belting these out. I think we've done like 3 in 2 days now.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool. All right. Me and Sean are going to cue it up right at the beginning of the episode, right after the recap, just to save a bit of time. And I'm going to do a 3-second countdown. And 1, 2, 3, go, and then play, right?
All right.
Play on go.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's a plan.
Course confirmed to Imperial Flagship 1. I hate that. I always complain about the computer voice.
I don't like the computer voice. I was going to say that shot was really beautiful, though. I think the VFX were really good, and like the angle that they took.
They get better in Season 2. I don't like... Looking back in Season 1, I don't like it so much.
This is the famous shot where they got the warp drive so right. Right?
The warp effect?
No, not the warp effect. This shuttle ride takes exactly the amount of seconds that it would take you to go from those 2 points in the warp speed that they designated or whatever. Like, I forget the details, but they said that they're going warp whatever.
Yeah.
No, warp 5 or whatever it is.
Okay.
From this point to this point, and apparently, like, the scene lasts exactly that time. I think E.C. Henry or someone did a breakdown on YouTube on this. I completely forgot. Oh no, maybe it's not this one. I think it is though.
She's touching the badge right now. Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
If anybody comes in and wants a timestamp, I'll give the timestamp. Because I found out with Starfleet Boy, the new CBS or the new Paramount Plus logo is separate from the recap and episodes. So aside from a couple of seconds here or there later on after commercials, we're pretty much like in sync in terms of...
Okay.
It's strange though. We're always at the same time code, but it ends up like veering off as we go along.
Oh, really?
So we got the intro now.
Yeah.
Which, goddamn, I've grown tired of it.
Really?
Yeah.
The music or the
music's good.
Just the visuals of it all.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, but it doesn't like. Even the Lower Decks one, which I think is the one I like the most, maybe. But of the 3 new iterations of Star Trek, the intros aren't sticking with me as much, I think.
I want a more traditional one in Strange New Worlds, and
Visuals are fine. There's a lot of like melancholy going on with like this music and the Picard one though.
The Picard music is actually, I think, a better theme than this one. It's so subtle, and it grows on you. First you hear it, and it's like, this doesn't seem like much. But then there's a lot of emotion behind it. The show itself, I don't believe, supports the seriousness of the theme. The show, to me, is kind of a joke. No offense to anybody who likes it, but...
It's very true. It's like Discovery is like the Arrowverse show of Star Trek, in my opinion.
Or you mean the Arrow of the Arrowverse show. Like the original. The one that started it all.
Yeah, it tries to be so gritty, right? But it's kind of like... See, that doesn't look as good. Oh, that's right, they've got like 1 million plot lines that they all just dropped.
He looks like a Mortal Kombat character in here.
Yeah, that's a correct response to that. Just look at her. This is I think, although I think Discovery has improved, I do think that this whole Mirror Universe subplot that they had in season 1 is like peak Discovery.
Yeah, I think they do the mirror universe well.
They do the Mirror Universe well. They tie it in with Enterprise in the original series with the Defiant so well. The aesthetic of the show suits the Mirror Universe more than it suits Prime.
Actually, yes, that's totally true because when they're in those costumes in the mirror universe, they look so much better on screen in general than their actual uniforms. Stamets v. Stamets.
Yeah.
Dawn of the multiverse.
Yeah, but then they abandon that real quick, don't they?
Anthony Rapp, or I mean, I should say Stamets, was a character I didn't like at the beginning, and it when they got to episodes 6 and 7 and 8 and all that. Well, not 8, but 6 and 7. You grow to like him, and the fact that he gets to play off of himself is kind of cool here. So
I'm still not a big fan of him. I actually think that he drags down Kolba.
But Starfleet, boy, we have when we do the commentaries, we have after discussions that can be like literally about anything, and we never know what we're gonna like fucking get into. After one episode of Discover, we played like clips from Nichelle Nichols' pimp movie, Truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one where she's like in charge of all the prostitutes. I don't like flashy stuff. I don't like when they do that. I think it's cheap. Like when they do like quick like
Yeah,
kind of
well,
things.
I mean, Discovery and a lot of modern shows, they rely on all of these effects to get their kind of storytelling across. Whereas I feel like, TNG didn't have to do that. It all comes down to like you watch season 3 and they're telling you Joju's out of phase, and so she's like flashing and shit. It's like you just tell us she's out of phase, and that's it, right?
Someone asked in one time, like, I don't know if there was reference to the mirror universe, but like, what would it be like to show like hardcore sex in Star Trek? And it was like nobody wants that. And we were talking about how like they showed L'Rell and that scene with her and Tyler, and it's like not only that, but these gory flashes of him in the surgery and stuff that literally make no sense, like bone crushing surgery and organs. That's all very convoluted. But the way they show all that with the flashiness, the torture surgery and the sex scene, is just like it's so old school. It doesn't belong in modern intelligent TV. It's kind of like a really cheap fucking thing that they do, and they do it in Picard with the fox and the stock footage over and over again. It's like
Who the hell put that
you
together?
guys have no idea how cringy that is. Like I want to say to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of feels like. What's interesting is Star Trek Beyond. They put Idris Elba in that Kral makeup,
Yeah.
and it's like you've put him in makeup just to hide the fact that it's Idris Elba. Like you want to do that Thomas Edison reveal, right? I feel like the only reason why he was in that makeup was to do the reveal,
Yeah.
and I feel like the entire Klingon exaggerated redesign was just so you can get that Tyler reveal.
Oh yeah, and like that was definitely
Because
part of it.
if they had done like original series Klingons or even just TNG Klingons, you would have immediately known.
Well,
You
I
know what I
don't.
mean? That it's
I don't.
him.
I think the original series Klingons are totally like not a thing that should ever be revisited again. For
I
the
think they
reason
should.
that it's just too. It's just too old school in the fact that it's not. It's so unbelievable. But I always say take the Nicholas Meyer's vision of the Klingons in Star Trek Six, where it's like much more subtle
Use
makeup.
them all. I say use them all.
Yes, but
Like,
no,
even if
no,
you don't
no.
have,
You're
like, a
talking
main
about like
character.
you're talking about dudes with no ridges. I don't want that at all.
Oh, come on.
I mean, they did something with the Enterprise where like Archer, somebody showed like very slight ones, but I don't know. It's weird. It's just a thing that should be lost in time. That doesn't. That can actually be genuinely reimagined as the Klingon Six Klingons. I'll always say it. And yes, you should have a scene where like you have a different variation. Like last episode, they had a Tellarite, and I was like, why do they have to have these tusks on the Tellarite now, and make them super pig-like? Why can't you show like maybe that reimagined version? Yes, and then his comrade or whatever is a more like a dude you would see in Enterprise. It's
Yeah, I think the Enterprise Tellarites were like flawless.
they were good.
Honestly, they updated the original series one. Like they still have every single aspect of the original series Tellarites, but they don't look like a person with a pig mask. They actually look like a species.
What do you think of Shazad Latif's acting?
I think he's pretty good. I think that he's an actor that if he were, I'm gonna be so mean. If he were not in this show and being directed in a different way, with like a because every show has its own kind of vibe and so everyone ends up acting kind of how that show is. If he were like put into like some different place, I think he would really shine. Because like even Jason Isaacs isn't giving his best performances in Discovery.
This is gross. I'd rather see hardcore sex in Star Trek than this shit. Like, the feeding it to her? Oh no. It's weirdly sexual and not cool. And I hate when Star Trek does that. Like, I always hate.
Well,
like,
they're trying to make you uneasy. I think that's the objective, right? That so it's coming. It's working.
and that's an
in that
interesting.
sense.
That's an interesting thing about Star Trek in the modern day. It's like they claim to be mature and R-rated, and I'm not looking for nudity and hardcore stuff in Star Trek. No, but it's funny how they can choose to go in these really gory, violent directions, and then like, oh no, can't show love making or like two characters. You often have, but seriously, have you ever watched shows that are very mature rated and you have actual two characters who are interesting and love each other, and then you get the not very necessarily obligatory sex scene, but a believable or believable enough scene between two of them that's very, very intimate, that actually gets you like more into them as characters or lets you understand a bit more about them. But newer Trek claims to be edgy and stuff, and even in Picard they say the F word and stuff like that and have gore and all this stuff. But they're still really scared to actually like truly tell
you're not allowed
stories.
to say the word God.
And well, no, that's not true. They say it in this.
No. They said it in the first season one of Discovery because apparently there's a whole story where Jason Isaacs wanted to say "Oh my God" or something, and they stopped him on set like, no, this is Star Trek in the future. Don't say God.
Yeah, it's weird how some people have certain views about what the world should be in the Star Trek world in the
It's
future.
like there's a chapel on the Enterprise, yo.
freedom of religion should still be a thing hundreds of
Yeah.
years from now. I mean, I don't
Yes.
understand why people would be like, you can't say that word. That's
I
oppressive.
mean, I don't.
That's
I don't
oppressive to say you
I,
can't say, "Oh my God."
It's especially considering it's basically an expression at this point.
Yeah, it's most people who say it don't even mean it in the literal, in the sense that it's.
But yeah,
in
it's like
fact,
it's hard to
certain
believe
Catholics
it-
will shame you for saying that. You're not allowed to say that amongst hardcore Mormons or Catholics. They will call you out for taking God's name in vain. If
I've
you say,
never
"Oh
heard
my
the-
God," you're
I've
supposed to
never
say,
heard,
"Oh
"Oh
my
my-"
goodness" or "Oh my gosh."
Okay, I've never heard
That's
it for "Oh
true.
my God." I've heard it for like when you say "God damn it." You know what I mean? Like that doesn't please.
I used to go to a Christian camp called Circle Square Ranch. Do you remember that? That was used to be a
No.
TV show. But they
Circle
had a.
Square.
You could go
Okay.
and ride horses and shoot bows and do all this stuff, right?
Okay,
And
that's
you
fun.
never do that. They can never do that shit now. There'd be lawsuits up the woozah. I remember a girl got kicked by a goat and she went flying 3 feet.
Holy shit! God.
But anyway, if you said, "Oh my God," big no. They correct you and say, "Don't take God's name in vain. You're supposed to say, 'Oh my goodness' or 'Oh my gosh.'" And if you were eating at the table, you couldn't put your elbows on the table.
Oh no.
They would publicly shame you with a song. So I did it on purpose just to hear the song.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you just wanted that song.
They fell for it.
I recently was going through the Disney thing, the Disney Plus, and you can actually now that they've got stars on Disney Plus. This is related, believe me. You can actually play with like the how do they call it? The content rating, like the maturity that you want your account to be. So it's got TV Young 7, and it's got like G, PG, PG-13, TV 14, all of those things. And I find it hilarious that it goes R, and then it goes TVMA, like TV mature, and it's like R is under TVMA, and people don't want an R-rated Tarantino Star Trek film, but that's beneath Discovery, which is TVMA. They're like, oh no, we can't have like an R-rated Star Trek film because that's too adult. But like this thing is rated higher. This is for like 17 and over.
It's let's see what the rating is in Canada. Well, yeah, the United States. It is mature rated, I think, here. God damn it, where is it? (14A). In Quebec, it's 13 plus.
Oh really?
It's Canada, right? That's a crazy scene. That's like some Hellraiser shit. Like the thing going through all. It was cool. It looked cool.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like about how it's okay
It's
to
so
show
80s to have,
violence
like, a
is just such an
villain.
easy thing to digest.
Yeah, but it's so 80s to have the villain kill all her henchmen, right? Like, you need people to... How is your empire functioning if you keep on killing these people? Like, I know that the Terran Empire is a strange concept because you gotta fight your captain or kill your captain to take their place, that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like survival of the fittest. But if you, as the emperor, just go around murdering everyone that's around you, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, she doesn't care. She's badass.
He doesn't care. Ooh. We've never seen that in Star Trek before. Usually they open it, they deactivate the force field, push the food in, and then reactivate the force field.
They've changed things. Many things. Like if you didn't know, if you just walked into this cold, you'd be like, "Oh, what's this species?" Not Saru, but her. You'd be like,
Yeah, no, yeah.
What's this?
I've said this
is a
many,
new
many,
one."
many. I've said this many, many times. Star Trek species vary basically on like one lump on their forehead. Like one spot can make the difference between this species and this species. That is the furthest thing from a Klingon. Someone cold, you could like ask which one is the Klingon out of them both, and they might actually have a hard time figuring out which one is.
Would you want a scene between Michelle Hurd and Jerry Ryan in season 2 of Picard that's revealing or intimate in any way? I'm not talking about like gratuitous stuff. I'm talking about an
I'm
actual love scene between them that is like not sugar coated or like just one of these things like with Tyler and Burnham where they're just lying on the bed kissing, cut to putting on clothes after sex. It's like I don't know. It's something
I
about
think
that. It's just so phony.
really. I don't
Yeah,
think we need.
I don't buy
more.
relationships unless not. I don't need to see anything, but I just need to just.
Okay, you want one of those like
They
how
cut
do
too
the
early.
artsy kind of sensual things where you see like the hand going down the leg maybe or something like that.
Actually, for as much as I dislike Picard and I don't find these two characters very interesting, but Soji and the Romulan dude, they actually
Narrate.
make an effort to show them kind of. It's pillow talk I'm talking about more so than
Okay.
actual. Like you'll see a lot of movies where
So Lorca and Cornwell maybe in the
Lorca and
beginning of the season.
yeah, but that was one of the things where they just cut to the after thing, and she's looking at the
okay.
scars, and which was an actual good scene. That didn't really have needed like that didn't really need the love making aspect, but
This is haunting enough. This running in the corridors.
this stuff
This
here
is effective.
is
But it sounds very like aesthetic. Like the sound aesthetic is very submarine.
So would you want to see Culber and Stamets in a threesome with say another crew member? I'm fucking with you now. Yes, I find this. To be honest, I find all this a bit boring. It's only when Mirror Stamets, I think, might be in the next episode, where he like comes into play and then he gets killed. But then in season 3, spoilers, it's a prequel and he gets killed even earlier.
The
But
show
that's
took
not
a-
the same timeline.
The show took a toll on them. All of these actors look. I haven't rewatched this first season for like years now. They all look so younger.
What about Burnham and Giorgio?
I know, right? Like
Would you like a love scene between them?
that makes no sense. What are you talking about? No, but they look so much younger. I was gonna say it for Tilly, but like even these two, they look so. Well, because I mean, Culber's oh, what's his name? I forget. Oh no. Oh no, what's Culber's name?
Culber.
Yeah, the actor.
Hugh Culber.
No,
MD.
the actor. Wilson Cruz. He's
Oh,
got, he's got that, he's got that gray hair now.
yeah.
When,
No,
when it
he
comes
he
to-
has
when
the,
it
he has the gray hair in season 1. Me and Starfleet Boy pointed that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we're talking sex, I don't. So here's the thing, right? And I know I'm weird this way. I get very attached to the characters in my TV shows. Like you talk about Seven, I get very attached to Seven of Nine.
Yeah.
And the same way, I don't want to see you having sex, or my.
I don't
you know
want
what
to
I
see
mean?
me having sex.
I don't want to see like my friends or my close relations having sex. Like that's not something that interests me. I kind of feel the same way about these characters in these TV shows. Like
Oh,
I'm
really?
I'm very attached to like
Oh,
Harry
okay.
Kim and Tom Paris. Like they're my bros. I don't want to see them having sex. I like knowing that okay they're in a relationship and you know what I mean.
I'm so used to watching HBO and Showtime and Cinemax kind of things, and even growing up with all that stuff, and just having that be a casual part of narrative drama, that I actually prefer it. And I find like shows that claim to be mature, like this, like I just said, like the Crave says in Canada it's 14A and 13 in Quebec, so we don't even consider it. But guaranteed, if there was stuff like you would not even, I wouldn't say Game of Thrones, but like just regular HBO shows that would have nudity and stuff, it would definitely be the 18, because as soon as that happens in Canada, even those shows that even aren't that bad or that violent, but have, and people say Canada is lenient on the sex stuff. That's not true. Us in America are pretty much the same. It's just that we're generally more okay with everything. Like you have to be a fucking hardcore, like violent, sex-filled film to actually get an 18 plus in theaters. You will
So-
almost never see 18 plus.
How do you feel about like? Do you find it more adult, like a sex scene than like all of this murder that we've seen. You know, like objects going through people's heads and you know ripping out of eyes, that kind of stuff. Because that, it's like
It's a
I'm
funny
not.
word to say more mature, but I find when you have shows with gratuitous violence or just violence for the sake of it that doesn't ultimately entertain you and is intended to shock with like, you know, the torture porn in episode 5 of Picard and stuff like that. That's the kind of thing I find immature, but it is technically like mature in the fact that like kids shouldn't watch it.
It's like
Adults shouldn't watch it. That's the way I feel about that. But
Yeah.
if Picard had like a sex scene or something between two characters that actually showed a bit of nudity and stuff, I wouldn't mind it at all.
like I'm really, you know, I'm not the most liberated, you know, sex wise when it comes to like TV shows and everything, but I kind of, and it's weird for me to say this thing, but I kind of feel like sex is a lot more natural than friggin' murder and you know beheadings and eye gouging. And so it like I understand we're trying to protect children, but do you really have to? I don't know.
Well, anything that has, well, no, I wouldn't say gratuitous, but just you know, graphic violence
Yeah,
or adult situations just shouldn't be watched by kids at all. And hopefully they can do a show that's separate from Discovery and Picard. Discovery's been more light in season 2. I don't think they say the F word at all.
This is on a completely like different.
This
I don't
is
know.
experimental. This is what this is.
You know what it feels like? It feels like they wanted to make their own, like they wanted to detach themselves so much from what Star Trek was that they went so far that it was like, it made
What
no
a-
more sense, you know what I mean? Although if this had been like, if they, instead of doing the Klingon War, they had done like just this Mirror Universe kind of setting.
He's the brother-in-law from Nobody.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's the brother, Bob Odenkirk's brother-in-law.
Oh,
He's got
really?
he's got a fuller beard than that though. I'm pretty sure he's a Canadian actor, and there's some people in that movie who have Canadian accents. Like he's Canadian.
Well, most extras in Discovery are Canadian anyway.
The Jason Isaacs is better in retrospect. Like you know what I mean. Like that's gritty, violent shit. It may be. It's funny to me because I don't buy it. I mean, I appreciate the Mirror Universe and all this stuff, but the show in general, I don't believe completely. So when they do, like everything with Tyler, all the flashbacks, like where he's screaming and flashy stuff, and even this now where she's trying to like fix him and shit, don't care. Just I don't care about any of it. Kalish, give me the light.
I don't care
Sucks.
about Discovery enough. Like I'm not invested in it. You know what I mean?
Do you think they
It's like-
Do you think they beautified her and made her like more subtle and more, dare I say, feminine, to make his love for her more believable? Because she is a goblin, and she's not attractive at all, even as a Klingon woman. I mean, I know Klingon women will look at like how pretty human women are and say, "Oh, that's disgusting." But Lursa and B'Etor had a certain appeal to them. You know what I mean? Dare I say?
There was a
And-
certain sensuality to the TNG Klingons. That's the thing. Like and it's not just the cleavage.
Was it?
It's
It might
like
have been.
there
Yeah, I
a-
was gonna say.
It's not just the cleavage is probably a part of it, which I know this may sound sexist, but I'm disappointed they took away the cleavage from Klingons because they felt the Klingon females felt very proud of you know their female attributes and how feminine they were, and I felt like the cleavage wasn't it wasn't I don't know, maybe it was a Rick Berman thing where you know we need to see them tits, but it felt like
And-
it felt
and
like
Sean,
part
I
of the
gotta say-
attitude of being a female Klingon. You know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with wanting to see them tits. Human beings are human beings, and we should stop apologizing for being. That's what I'm saying. That's why I got into the whole discussion about how even progressive look at TOS and how from a sex wise position, yes, you could look at it now and say it was misogynistic, but it was very liberating back then. Like yes, I know they cast like extremely beautiful women who stand the test of time even now. Like you look back and it's like 55 whatever years ago, and it's like those women would be tens now. It's not even a thing where like they're old-timey beauty. They're actually universal beauties back then. And it was probably, you could admit that it was a sexist practice to only cast good-looking women. But me and Starfleet Boy were talking about how in Hollywood, they often cast good-looking people throughout. We were talking about people in these scenes in Star Trek Discovery. Everybody looks like they could fucking model for a Crombie and Fitch or some stuff. You know what I mean?
The beauty standard in Hollywood and I think in television is higher. You know what I mean? It's like when you say, "Oh, this dude, he's average." You know what I mean?
She's All That. Hollywood, remember?
What was?
Do you remember She's All That?
She's All That.
I forget the actress's name, but the girl who stars in it is actually a beautiful woman, right? Like an actually like model beautiful woman. Okay. And she's a nerd who nobody likes in high school in the movie. And it's because she has glasses on. She has glasses on. So Freddie Prinze Jr. comes up to her and he's like, "Oh, I gotta turn this ugly duckling into a prom date. Oh, she's disgusting." He doesn't say that. I'm being hyperbolic. But anyway, he goes up. He takes the glasses off, let the hair down. "Oh my God, you're a model." It's like, you know what? I like when shows cast normal looking, or even, dare I say, not attractive people.
But that's what I'm saying.
It adds believability.
That's what I'm saying. The average, like what Hollywood, like the average Hollywood, or like the below average Hollywood, is not the below average of us. You know what I mean?
It's almost like when they cast a normie in a movie, like someone like off the street looking dude. They're always like a freak or mentally deranged or something. And it's like, hey, that guy kind of looks like me.
Which brings it back to what we were talking about the other day. I think we were talking about this with Nobody. When, like, you know how they'll hire a woman in Hollywood. They'll be like, "No, you're too old," but she's only like 40 or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like their standards are completely fucked up.
And some of that was in Voyager where... Janeway wasn't, I guess, the sex pot they wanted her to be. I guess she wasn't like showing her boobs enough. I don't know what was going on. But
it's bizarre.
I'm not mad that they got. I'm not mad that they got 7 though. You know what I mean? I can't be mad at that, even though the circumstances around it were shady.
I always considered Janeway not as kind of like as more of the mother figure. You know what I mean?
I never saw her as someone who needed to strip down, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't need to see... It was good to see her in relationships with holograms and stuff, but...
That was fun.
That was weird, but... I knew, even as a kid, when 7 of 9 came along, I was like, I see what you guys are doing. Because now I'm watching every episode. As a kid, I'm like, I'm in. I wasn't watching as much before. Same thing with DS9. Wasn't watching it every week. What happened? Worf comes along. I'm watching it every week until the end of the show.
I know that I'm a guy, and so maybe I'm not the one to speak too much on this. But I feel like, although it was very obvious and evident that they were using Jerry Ryan's beauty, you know what I mean, on the show, I feel like they really did a good job at making 7 of 9 a good character. Like it wasn't just. Token beauty on screen. It's like they really put in the effort to justify 7 of 9's kind of existence on the show.
Oh, this is the big revelation. This is where the big reveal that he's Mirror Lorca.
He chose you.
Is this the one where he dies? No, in the next one he dies. Spoiler. No, if you watch these commentaries, we will often get into discussions and then forget we're watching an episode. But it's good, because I always want people to say what others are afraid to. Like me, I go too far with Starfleet Boy sometimes with the shit I talk about. And I'm thinking, like, is this okay? Is it okay for me as a white, straight man to talk about certain issues.
You know what? When one of us is gonna be directing AAA Disney movies, in a couple of years, they'll cut back to these clips.
Well, you know
How
what?
dare they? We'll get fired.
I think the time of oversensitivity is kind of coming to an end. People have put up with so much other bullshit in their actual lives in this past year or so. It's like online shit seems like so arbitrary now. Like, it used to offend me, like, but now I like. You just learn to ignore stuff that somebody has a problem with anything you say or. Her name was Ava. And I liked her. And now I'm gonna pee on you. Because this is Star Trek. Alright. It's over.
Is it?
Yeah, yours...
wow.
Yeah.
Why is mine slower than yours?
I don't know.
Now, he just gave the kick.
There you go.
Well, that went by pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't... after episode 10, I kind of like the mirror stuff, but it could be a lot better.
See, I gave this a 7.5 back in the day.
The next one is good. The next episode is good.
I was very invested at the time in Discovery when it was coming out. I was criticizing a lot of its flaws, or a lot of what I consider, it to be flaws, but I was very invested in it, and I was like kind of waiting to see where they were going. I was still believing all of the lies, dare I say. You know how like everyone was saying, don't worry, all of the discrepancies in visual continuity and in storytelling continuity will be fixed. We're gonna make sure everything. I was still drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
No, well, their excuse was we have 10 years.
Yeah, we have. Don't worry about it. We'll have time to fix everything and set everything back into place. And so I was still believing that, and so I think that affected my. I gave it a 7.5. I wouldn't give it a 7.5.
I think my attention waned watching it here because I don't think Giorgio is all that interesting in her early episodes. I may have thought that at the time, maybe, but
Michelle Yeoh is an amazing actor.
It's
just like
it's an up and down thing with her. Like I like her and then I don't like her and then I like her again. It's weird.
It's because the Emperor doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like we've been over this. We should have had Discovery could have been a prime timeline, a prime Giorgio show. That would have been great. Like Captain Giorgio show, and then you show like kind of the rivalry or siblinghood of Saru and Burnham as they kind of fight for like that position of first officer, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That would have been interesting. And then you have your big Jason Isaacs, like big actor as Michelle Yeoh's a big actor, but Jason Isaac would be the villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the next one,
and then you didn't even have to do Klingons.
The next one, episode 13, What's Past is Prologue. I think I really liked that one, or I liked it much better than episode 12 and 11. I didn't like episode 11 at all. But I hate the way he dies in the next one. They do that. They do that Star Wars scream.
Frakes did. Frakes did 11 or 10.
He did 10.
Okay.
And I don't know if he did any more in season 2, but I know season 1, but he did New Eden.
It's the final. It's the final episode. It's episode 15, like the final episode of season 1, which is like garbage.
Okay.
It's an abomination. I can't even.
That was a short episode, though. It was less than 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us, folks. Until next time, live long and prosper.